January 1919, Europe, the guns were silent, but the war was not over. Across the continent, cities lay in ruins. Fields that once fed nations were cratered and poisoned, railways were broken. Millions of soldiers were returning home, but home was no longer the place they remembered. World War I had officially ended in November 1918, yet 1919 became a year of chaos, anger, and unfinished suffering. For the men who survived the trenches, peace felt unfamiliar. Soldiers returned with shattered bodies and haunted minds. Many could not sleep. Loud noises sent them diving for cover. Faces stared endlessly from their memories, friends buried in mud, lost to gas, erased by artillery. The world called it shell shock. Families struggled to understand. These men had survived hell, but they had not escaped it. While soldiers returned, leaders gathered. In Paris, representatives from the victorious nations met to decide the future of the world. The Paris Peace Conference promised lasting peace. President Woodrow Wilson spoke of fairness, self-determination, and a world free from war, but reality had other plans. Germany arrived defeated, humiliated, and excluded from real negotiation. The blame for the entire war was placed upon them. Reparations were demanded, amounts so massive they would crush the economy. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in June 1919. Germany lost territory. Its army was reduced. Its people were told they alone were responsible for the catastrophe that killed millions. Anger replaced defeat. Many Germans felt betrayed not only by their enemies, but by their own leaders. A dangerous idea spread. The war had not been lost on the battlefield, but stolen by politicians. That idea would not fade. Across Eastern Europe, empires collapsed into chaos. The Austro-Hungarian Empire shattered into new nations: Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia. Borders were drawn hastily, often ignoring ethnic realities. Minorities found themselves trapped in hostile states. Tensions simmered immediately. The Ottoman Empire fell apart. In its ruins, violence erupted. Old rivalries turned deadly. The Middle East was carved into mandates, controlled by foreign powers, planting seeds of conflict that would last for generations. 1919 was not peace. It was a pause filled with violence. Civil wars erupted. Revolutions spread. In Russia, the Bolsheviks fought to secure power in a brutal civil war. In Germany, street fighting broke out between radical groups and government forces. Soldiers who knew only war now fought at home. Millions were still dying. Meanwhile, a new enemy traveled silently across borders. The Spanish flu pandemic, fueled by years of war and movement, swept the globe. Weak populations collapsed. Hospitals overflowed. Entire families vanished within days. By 1919, more people would die from influenza than from the fighting itself. The world was exhausted, economies were shattered. Inflation destroyed savings. Unemployment soared, veterans begged on streets. Widows struggled to survive, orphans filled institutions. The promised land fit for heroes never arrived. In Britain and France, victory felt hollow. The cost had been too high. An entire generation was missing, dead, or broken. Memorials were built everywhere, not to celebrate, but to remember absence. In America, soldiers returned victorious but confused. Many struggled to fit back into civilian life. The world they fought for felt distant and fragile. And everywhere, one question haunted the survivors: was it worth it? The answer never came. 1919 was supposed to heal the world. Instead, it exposed how deeply wounded humanity had become. The peace treaties ended fighting, but they did not end hatred, fear, or revenge. They buried it quietly. The world moved forward, but it did not move on. Beneath the surface, resentment grew. Economies weakened, political extremes gained followers. The lessons of the trenches were ignored by those who had never stood in them. 20 years later, the world would pay the price. 1919 stands as a warning. A reminder that ending a war is not the same as creating peace, that survival does not mean recovery, and that unresolved pain when ignored, will return stronger and deadlier than before. World War I ended in 1918, but its shadow ruled 1919 and shaped the century that followed.